Q&A for 500k. Oh, and don't worry, there will be a giveaway that will be mentioned at the end of the video. Do you think any cubing channel will ever reach 1 million subscribers? Yeah, I do think so. Please be me. Turns out 1 year ago, I had 250,000 subscribers. So if the channel continues at this rate, it could actually happen in just 2 years. That's kind of crazy to think about it, and I don't really believe it. Do you think all cubers have the potential to achieve sub-10 solves or quicker if they are willing to put the work in? Or do you believe it all depends at what stage of your life you start? If you know all the fundamental CFOP knowledge and you're going for one sub-10 solve, given enough solves, you would definitely get a solve that's like in the low 30s for move count. Then you only need slightly over 3 turns per second. And I think if you really like dedicated your life to that, then you can definitely do that, especially given that it's quite an easy solve. But when it comes to average, like average of 5 or just your global average, I don't think so. You'd have to be hitting over 5 turns per second every solve. I think maybe you could, but I don't think anyone's putting in enough work to actually do that. So I think sub-10 really is a place where your age will separate whether or not you realistically reach that. But if you're just going for one single time sub-10, absolutely you can do it. Do you have a girlfriend? For some reason, you guys ask me this question every single time, and so the answer is yes, I do have a girlfriend. That's pretty much all I'm going to share about it because I don't like sharing my personal life here. I just don't think that's what this channel is about, but there you go. If you had a modern cube of your choice that you could go back in time with and give it to any speed cuber from many years ago, which modern cube would you give them and who would you give it to? I would take the GAN 11M Pro perfectly set up with all of its customization tools, and I'd give it to someone who doesn't cube so they can put it on their shelf and look at it once in a while. Okay, no, I would take something like the MGC 7x7 and give it to me from like 10 years ago, and I would literally break world records with this because that's how good this is compared to what there was back then. How do you feel about the supposed Rubik's Cube movie? I just hope it was nothing like the Rubik's Cube TV show. Would you ever consider adding updates to jperm.net? Around September of 2019 is when I released the website. It has more basic or fundamental tutorials and also an algorithm trainer. I was actually working on a way that you can log in so you can have your stuff saved over different devices, but then school got in the way, and the fact that I haven't gotten back to work on that makes me think I may not finish it. So realistically speaking, I may just scrap that for now and go work on other things because I do think I can add more algorithms and just more tutorial stuff on there. So yes, I think I'll get back to that, but I don't think it'll be anything drastic. What was your weirdest experience at a competition? I was going to say when like 7 people got 21 moves in fewest moves, but one thing that just came to mind is one time we all had to go outside because the fire alarm was pulled. There was only one person who had to do one more solve, and before he was going to start, that's when the fire alarm was pulled. So when we all came back later, we watched one person do one solve, and that was the competition. How did young speed cubers like Leo basically improve so fast? I have a theory on this. It's not exactly natural talent because hard work is always going to take you further than your natural talent would have. But here's what I mean. So you have an approach to how you learn something, but everyone also learns best in a different way. So if these two perfectly align, your approach perfectly matches the way that you learn best, then you're going to improve a lot faster. If they don't match, you probably wouldn't realize, but even if you did, you can try and change your approach, and that may not be something that's as fun or motivating for you, so maybe that wouldn't even work so well. Now, with both these two things being hard to define and hard to control, then to get them to perfectly line up in the way that's best for you seems very unlikely. Now, this isn't exactly luck, but I would argue it is hard enough to control and has a big enough effect that it is basically luck. And for that reason, I think it's important to give many different hobbies you enjoy a fair shot and not just focus too hard in on one. Of course, if you enjoy it, then that's fine, but if you want to be very good at something, then it's worth trying out many things and seeing which one you end up being good at. What is your Chinese name? So here it is on screen, and that is pronounced Wang Xin. I don't really use Chinese for anything, so I don't think this is on a document anywhere, which means I could technically say my Chinese name is anything I want. Tips for faster and more accurate 3-blind memorization. There are a lot of things I could say here that I also mentioned in the playlist, but I'm going to say something I haven't said before, and that is to kind of make 3x3 blindfolded your main event for a while. At least mainly focus on that and not really anything else. And I am speaking from experience as I did many years of 3-blind as just like something I sort of do sometimes, and then I spent 1 month really focusing on it, and I actually improved way more in that 1 month than those years combined. How do I convince my mom to buy me more cubes even though she says I already have enough? You can keep begging for cubes and giving reasons why you should get cubes, but I don't think that is any guarantee of working. I think you should strike up some sort of deal where she'll get you cubes if you do some extra chores or something like that. Would you rather have the knowledge of Jaden McNeil or the look ahead of Max Park? Okay, so as much as Jay knows, he knows so much. It blows my mind how much he knows about 3x3, but I can learn that if I really tried. Max Park's look ahead, I don't know if I could learn that. It's on an insane level. Plus, it would instantly make me so much better at 4x4 all the way to 7x7, so I think I'm gonna have to take that one. Sorry, Jay. What is your least favorite F2L and least favorite OLL case? I'll put them on the screen. These are really bad. What advice would you give to people struggling to learn and memorize new algorithms? Like with a lot of these things, I have a video on it, but also with a lot of these things, I have something new to say. If you're more of a beginner learning algorithms and you see two, but one of them people tell you is faster and one of them just looks easier to learn for you, you should learn the one that's faster, but it's really not a big deal if you learn the other one instead, because one day you can change and it doesn't take a lot of effort to change algorithm. Maybe right now you're thinking I need to learn all the right ones so I don't learn too many, but the more you learn, the easier it gets to learn another one. Plus, no matter which one you learn, by the time you get good, the best one might change. Explain in depth how using XD in a sentence makes your life shorter. Well, there are a lot of things that can contribute to your lifespan. For example, having a guilty conscience because you did something wrong, experiencing shame because people ridicule you for your weird choice of language, and being fined $350. How old and what year did you start going to cubing competitions, and what was your average when you started? My first competition was in 2014 and I was 17 years old. My average at home was 12 and my first average in the competition was 15. So that should give you an idea of what it's like to compete. What is one thing you've learned over the ages of cubing that really hits home and you can carry with you in your everyday life? I think within the context of speed cubing itself, there's not that much that actually applies to other aspects of life. If you look at what's around cubing, like the social stuff, the competitions, then yeah, of course, I think there are many things that I could say, but I actually want to say one thing I've never talked about, which is just within cubing itself. Look ahead is often viewed as one thing because it has one name. So it's one skill that you magically get good at someday, and somehow that's going to make you a better cuber, take you from like 15 seconds down to like 8. No, that's not how it works. What I've learned from Look Ahead is that something that seems as holistic and singular as Look Ahead can often just be a combination of many little things. So for example, one skill in Look Ahead is looking away from the current thing you're solving so you can look at the next thing. Another skill is deducing a corner in a backslot. Another is deducing an edge in a backslot. Another is memorizing how the corner orientation changes depending on what case you're doing. There are so many different skills you have to learn to say, I'm good at look ahead. And sometimes you'll see people who have really good look ahead, but then sometimes they'll have one giant pause in their solve. What? I thought they were good at look ahead. No, sometimes there are singular aspects you would still categorize under look ahead that this person has not practiced yet. So they have many good look ahead skills, but they're missing a look ahead skill. And I think that's a really important approach to learning how to be good at anything. That sometimes what seems like one giant important thing is a combination of many, many small things, and you have to spend time with each of those small things. I think that's a really important mindset shift for how you learn pretty much anything. I'll just give one more example that I like to give, and that is Smash Bros. One of the most important things is neutral game, which is basically how are you going to hit your opponent if neither of you currently has an advantage. So recently I've been looking more into frame data and also looking at how to take advantage of very, very specific situations in certain character matchups, and that has literally made me better at neutral as a whole. I didn't expect that. That's kind of like look ahead, where you have to learn very specific things. You don't just get better at look ahead. You get better at each of these things, then you can say you're better at look ahead. So I can learn very specific frame data and character interactions, then I can say I'm better at neutral. But I don't just get better at the big thing. I get better at the little things, and that makes me better at the big thing. What's your best time on 3x3 using beginner's method? When I still use the beginner's method, I think I got like maybe a 25 or something, which is way too far for how long you should use the beginner's method. But more recently, I think I've gotten like a 14 or a 15. That's probably my best. What was the weirdest thing that happened to you in a competition or at home? Well, getting that last layer skip. I forgot to even pray before the solve began. Maybe that's the secret. Another one that really confused me to the core was when I was scrambling a 7x7, I don't follow a scramble on screen. I think it takes too long, so I just do random turns, right? Like this, for example. I'll turn some layers, then the outer layers, and so on. I was pretty much doing this exact thing, and I wasn't looking at it. And when I looked back down at it, it was just a PLL case. I just turned randomly for like 20 seconds. And it's a PLL case. I have no idea how that happens, and that is so unlikely that it's more likely that I remembered it wrong. But I know I didn't remember this wrong because I was actually confused for a very long time, just sitting there like, what did I just see? All right, now the giveaway. There will be multiple winners who will receive gift cards to speedcubeshop.com. Thank you to SpeedCubeShop for helping me do this giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment. In 2 weeks, the winner will be randomly chosen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.